Hello and welcome back to this channel. All I have to say is there has to be a special place in the fiery pits of hell for someone like this. We're going in, it all is going to be about It Ends With Never and the recent filings in the court. If you're ready, I'm ready. Grab your emotional support lip gloss. We are getting sassy and we are getting into it. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't the same super bubbly, energetic greeting that you usually get. It's because I'm a little teed off, okay? I'm a little bit PO'd. Is that the word? Yeah, and I'm about to just probably be not as nice as I usually am when I'm talking about Miss Snake Lively. Why is that? I don't know, because on Wayfarer's biggest day yesterday, their biggest day, where Scarlett Johansson was celebrating her opening night at TIFF for Eleanor the Great, a movie executively produced by Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer, as well as they were also doing another premiere of their second movie coming out this month, The Senior. It was a big day for Wayfarer, and Blake Lively chose yesterday to submit the most wildest, craziest letters and motions and whatever the frig this cluster F is into the courts. It's so funny because last week when Snake Lively and her little husband, Reynolds, were doing the pop NC, and she was all doing her little like glossy Blake Brown, blah, 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 blah. And Ryan Reynolds is over there on TIFF doing his little John Candy red carpet crap that both of them completely failed in. The courts were real quiet, weren't they? They were real quiet. And then on Wayfair's biggest night this month, they choose to do this. And if that doesn't show you the type of people that they are, they're not out here for justice. They're not out here to, because Blake was so wronged and she was so violated and she's fighting for her rights. They're seeking revenge. They are seeking to completely destroy Wayfarer. And there is no way that they're going to wake up today and have all the headlines about Wayfarer celebrating, Scarlett Johansson celebrating, and all of this stuff. There was no way they were going to let them ever have that. Instead, they chose to do this for the biggest sucker punch of PR, and it's absolutely shady. It's a PR tactic. And for them to always be the ones crying that Wayfarer is using the court dockets for some kind of PR game, what exactly was this? Absolutely disgusting. These are complete monsters we're dealing with. I'm like, up to here now with them because they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And tell me this, somebody, how is Blake Lively in one docket in this thing with Jed Wallace in the courts begging for New York law, begging for New York jurisdiction over Jed Wallace, but then now is over here asking for damages and all of this stuff under California law in the same court docket. And we should just count how many times now Blake Lively has filed for sanctions and for damages and for attorney fees. And girl, you have lost your mind, but the fact that y'all chose to do it last night during Scarlett Jo's opening night at TIFF for her movie, and while Wayfarer was celebrating the senior red carpet, tells me everything I need to know about you, but I didn't have to be told because I already clocked you guys a long time ago. You're evil, you're monsters, you're gross, you're egotistical, and you're completely losing the plot. What can I say, guys? What can I say? I am peed off, okay? I am peed off because I was enjoying my night last night. I went to TIFF. I got to see Scarlett Johansson. I got to see Jude Squibb, a 95-year-old woman, come across a stage. I saw one of the most amazing movies, Eleanor the Great, which I'll have a review coming for you. The courts were real quiet yesterday. And then I came out of that movie celebrating. And actually, one of the notes I took in my notes while I was watching the movie was they never mentioned Wayfarer. They're like, thank you to Sony, thank you for Mongrel Media, and thank you to all of our producers. No Wayfarer. But in the opening credits, because it's TIFF, it's a film festival, the crowd is loud and about, okay? Like when names come up, everyone's cheering. It's such a good crowd in film festivals to go see any movie on. And when the light bulb came up in Wayfarer, I was screaming. I was the only one. So if you were at that film festival and you were like, "Wah!" to Wayfarer, that was me, okay? Because I will definitely cheer for Wayfarer any chance I get, okay? So I was cheering for them, and then I thought it was really weird, and a note that I made to myself was I was walking out of that theater, and I was already kind of like pissed at Blake and Ryan and Leslie and Stephanie motherfucking Jones, you know? I was just feeling like in my heart so bad for Justin, so bad for Wayfarer, that Blake took this away from them. She took them celebrating their films. They shed on purpose a bad light on Scarlett Johansson's directorial debut. I mean, the absolute catastrophe that has happened because of these two people, Blake and Ryan. And then let's toss in Leslie Sloan and Stephanie motherfucking Jones, okay? I mean, their reign, their terror knows no bounds. I mean, look at all the over 107 content creators. Look at what's happening with all of the people being subpoenaed. And then just the sheer fact that Wayfarer couldn't even celebrate that this movie, Eleanor the Great, that's such a huge, it's going to change people's lives. I mean, it's such a good movie. To have it even shadowed because of Blake, I mean, is disgusting. And what are we here for, Blake? Because he called you sexy? A word that you use all the time? Because he went into your trailer while you were pumping, allegedly, but there's texts where you invited him in? Because he asked you to take off a big coat because all the cast were wearing onesies and you said your bra was showing? Then zip it up, girlfriend. Like, why are we here? It doesn't make sense. Because you didn't get your way. Because you wanted this movie. Because you thought they were going to roll over when you asked them to make an apology in August. Because you and your husband have lost the game of PR. You've lost what people actually relate to. And your marketing was horrendous. And people turned on you. And you've never had that before. And you couldn't handle it because your egos are so big that you decided to go scorched earth and literally destroy everyone in your path. And it still hasn't stopped. You continue to keep going. Oh. Let's look at exactly what happened yesterday. This is Blake Lively. Oh yeah, it's Wayfarer. Wayfarer are abusing the courts. Oh my gosh, Wayfarer abused the court dockets. Oh my god, Wayfarer, everything they do is an attack. Oh my god, it's PR. Oh my god, Brian Freeman, he's a PR agent. He's a monster. What is this? This is Blake Lively yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 7, yep. And it did stop because there's more today from Michael Gottlieb. Yeah, okay, and let's go over it because this is... Ugh. It starts here in docket 742. Okay, so this is a notice of Blake Lively's motion for attorney fees, treble damages, and punitive damages under California's Civil Code 47.1. The fact that Blake Lively even thinks that she should be awarded triple damages for this kind of behavior, let's even say that everything that she says is true, which already it's not because it's already been proven that it's not, right? But just for funsies, let's just say that like what she is saying is true. You think you deserve, you're such a victim. This was such a violation. Treble damages? You think Judge Lyman, a judge in the Southern District of New York, should rule on the California Civil Code for the first time ever for victims under 47.1 for you, Blake? That's how special you are. That's how damaged you were, even though you've removed your 10th and 11th motion for infliction of damage, right? No emotional damage. No. We're garden variety. For garden variety emotional stress, you think that you should be awarded this. Now, I know delusion when I see it, okay? And I know crazy, but this is out of line. This is the craziest thing. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. This has to just be for PR. This is a joke. But let's just read through it and try to figure this out because, girl, what? Okay, this is what it says, y'all. This is what it says. Please take notice that for the reasons stated in the accompanying memorandum of law in support of Blake Lively's motion for attorney fees, treble damages, and punitive damages under California Civil Code Section 47.1 and the accompanying declaration of Ezra Hudson and blank with the exhibits attached here too. Thereto, the undersigned will move this court before Judge Louis J. Lyman at the United States Courthouse for the Southern District of New York, located at on a date and time to be set by the court for an order pursuant to California Civil Code Section 47.1, ruling that she is a prevailing defendant under Section 47.1 and as such that she is entitled to 1. Attorney fees and cost for successfully defending herself in the litigation. How have you successfully defended yourself? Your case is still going. Was there a beat here that we missed? Did we, you haven't proved your case yet. You haven't proved your case yet. Okay. Don't count your eggs before they hatch. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. That's the saying. I'm so bad at sayings, y'all, but I think that's what it is. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Okay, anyway, so attorney fees and costs for successfully defending herself in the litigation. 2. Treble damages for the harm caused by Wayfarer Studios, LLC, Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath, Steve Soritz, It Ends With Us Movie, LLC, Melissa Nathan, The Agency Group, LLC, and Jennifer Abel, collectively the Wayfarer parties, in their bringing their retaliatory defamatory action against her. And 3. Punitive damages sufficient to deter the Wayfarer parties from engaging in such conduct in the future. For these reasons and those set forth in more detail in the accompanying memorandum of law, the court should grant Miss Lively's motion in its entirety. Well, lordy, if they do have this meeting that she's asking the judge for, she's asking for some court meeting, a date and time to be set by the court. Right here, a date and time to be set by the court. I hope it's open to us. I hope we get to phone in because this is a load of crap. Now, I know that when this memorandum came out yesterday, there was a lot of chatter like, who is it? Is it Isabella? Is it Liz Plank? Is it Jenny the man-beater Slate? Which one of these women are the ones that did this? And I think this is Blake Lively. And if it's not Blake Lively, I think it's probably Liz Plank. But I do think that it is Blake Lively, and we'll go through it because it's quite interesting and there are a lot of theories still swirling around. But this doesn't prove anything. Let's just read it and then we'll talk about it, y'all. Declaration. I, blank, pursuant to 28 U.S.C., hereby declare as follows. I'm over 18 years of age, of sound mind. Well, if this is Blake, you've already lied. You're not of sound mind. That's why you won't produce your medical records. Until I see some therapist notes on your condition, I think that you are absolutely, no offense here, guys, but totally batshit crazy. Crazy. Do you hear me? Like you need maybe to go sit in a padded room and get some real help. Anyway. And otherwise competent to make this declaration. The evidence set out in the foregoing declaration is based on my personal knowledge. Blank. Wayfarer Studios, LLC, Justin Baldoni, a founder of Wayfarer. Blank. I had repeated negative interactions with Mr. Baldoni and his associates, including verbal abuse by Mr. Baldoni. Mr. Baldoni was not permitted on set during the majority of production as a result of those experiences. Then there's a whole bunch of redactions, and it says, I requested that he not be involved in marketing or public relations effort, blank. Look at all the reductions. But I was contacted by the assistant to Steve Soritz, the co-founder and co-chairman of Wayfarer, to schedule a time for me and Mr. Soritz to speak. Mr. Soritz, assistant, did not identify a topic for the meeting. Ooh. Then it says a true and correct copy of produced in Discovery as BL something is being submitted with this declaration as Exhibit 1. I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. The reason why this might be just a declaration by Blake Lively is because it has the initials right here, BL. So it was produced in Discovery as Blake Lively dash da 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 da. So this could either be Blake Lively or it could be Liz Plank, and she's talking about maybe the Man Enough podcast. I don't know. But even if we go through it, and for this to be the first time that this has been raised and shown ever, just tells you it's just a tactic. But even if somebody else, right, had, what did she say, negative interactions with Justin Baldoni? Right here. I had repeated negative interactions with Mr. Baldoni and his associates, including verbal abuse. Okay, like, first of all, prove it. Second of all, why now? And third, that's not against the law. Negative interactions, that could be anything. That could be anything. She knew exactly what she was doing by filing this, by changing all of the headlines to be, oh, another person comes forward about Justin Baldoni. Oh, another accuser, another da 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 da. Same thing that happened when the Isabella Ferrer thing dropped, which was crazy, right? But okay, you had bad experiences. Like, really? Really? You're the only one in like over 20 years that have come out now? Okay, so you had negative interactions, okay? Then it says, whatever this whole redacted thing is, I requested that he not be involved in marketing or public relations efforts. Could that be Man Enough? I requested that he not be involved in the Man Enough marketing or public, or was it Blake Lively who requested that Justin Baldoni not be a part of It Ends With Us, because she's the only one on set who would have that power. I mean, of course, the man beater Jenny Slate could definitely have asked for it. Isabella would never. That was her first movie. But Jenny Slate doesn't have the power to ask for this. But you know who does? Blake Lively. And this has nothing to do, if this is something that had to do with another production or It Ends With Us or anything, that has nothing to do with Blake's claims. She needs to prove herself that she was sexually harassed, and she reported that sexual harassment, and because she reported that sexual harassment, that's why they retaliated against her, which we all know is not true. None of it is crap. It's baloney. Like, it's complete garbage, if you will. Then it says, I was contacted by the assistant Steve Soritz, the co-founder and chairman of Wayfarer, to schedule a time for me and Mr. Soritz to speak. Mr. Soritz's assistant did not identify a topic for the meeting. But wouldn't the topic for the meeting be because you said that you had negative interactions with Mr. Baldoni and that you requested that he not be involved in the marketing or public relations? So, okay, they didn't give you a topic for the meeting, but you had issues. So this whole thing is just absolutely nuts. And penalty of perjury, yeah, get ready for that, because this has to be, it's just crazy. Oh, but there's more. Then there's this is from the so amazing, the great, the one, the only, the shady, the unethical, the immoral Ezra Hudson. Yeah, I'm saying it, guys. I'm saying it because the things that these lawyers are able to do and continue to say and do with their full chest and their whole careers and reputations on the line. Let's just bring it back to Van Zandt, can we? Van Zandt, please. Can we get some freaking answers for that? That's it. That's how this started, right? You created a fake lawsuit using your husband's inactive shell company called Van Zandt to create a sham subpoena to get otherwise illegal text messages that you produced to the New York Times months in advance from when the story dropped, that you already had in possession of because Stephanie motherfucking Jones gave them to Leslie Sloan the day of. And how do we know that? Because both the PR reps couldn't keep their mouth closed and called Melissa Nathan and said, get ready to be sued. We have your messages. Hello? Or Jen Abel, or they called one of the Wayfarer parties. These people are absolutely crazy and completely shady. I don't care what anyone says. These moves are unethical and they're a reach and they're absolutely bizarre. Ezra Hudson writes, on behalf of Blake Lively, we write pursuant to Rule 4.B of Attachment A to your Honor's individual rules to respectfully request that the court preliminarily seal certain portions of Miss Lively's motion for attorney fees, treble damages, and punitive damages under California Code Section 47.1 against Wayfarer Studios, LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie He, Steve Soritz, It Ends With Us, LLC, Melissa Nathan, The Agency Group, PR, LLC, and Jennifer Abel, the Wayfarer parties. Filed here within. Miss Lively also respectfully requests that the court preliminarily seal certain portions of the declaration of blank in support of the motion, along with Exhibit 1 accompanying the declaration. Further, Miss Lively respectfully requests that the court seal Exhibit A accompanying the declaration of Ezra A. Hudson in support of the motion. Exhibit A is a document produced by non-party, the Skyline Agency, LLC, and is designated as confidential or attorney-eyes only by the parties or certain third parties. In accordance with the Rule 4.B of your attachment, Ms. Lively respectfully requests that the court not rule on this letter motion to seal for 1 week so the parties have the opportunity to meet and confer, and the Wayfarer parties may file a motion for continued sealing if they choose so. Let's hope they don't, so we can get to the answers of this, so we can really get into it. And following all of this and beginning all of this, there is a 30-page document. It is called Defendant Blake Lively's Memorandum of Law in support of motion for attorney fees, treble damages, and punitive damages, Let's look over this document. I haven't read it yet, guys, so I'm going to be reading it with you for the first time. Oh, let's see what this thing says here. The Wayfarer party's defamation action against Blake Lively was baseless from the start. Oh, I'm already annoyed. Okay, let's just take a breath. Despite repeated warnings about the impropriety of their legal claims and the consequences of continuing to pursue them, the Wayfarer parties refused to back down. Instead, they stoked the flames of public sentiment, posting the retaliatory lawsuit on a public website along dozens of heavily redacted and context-free exhibits masquerading as receipts to flood the zone with vicious character attacks on Miss Lively designed to damage her credibility and to conceal their own unlawful acts. Dun dun dun. Indeed, the Wayfarer parties tried their best to sue Miss Lively into oblivion and made substantial progress towards fulfilling Steve Soritz's threat to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her husband, leaving 2 dead bodies in his wake. This quote is so misleading because he literally says in the quote, let me just pull it up here for reference because this is so nuts. This is from Blake Lively's amended complaint, okay, where it literally says the quote from Steve Soritz, and it says right here, there will be 2 dead bodies when I'm done. Ha 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 ha. Well, I'm making the ha ha ha, but there will be 2 dead bodies when I'm done. Minimum. Not dead, but you're dead to me. So that kind of dead. But dead to a lot of people if they ever get me to that point. As in, you're dead to me. As in, you're cut off. It's over. You no longer exist. Goodbye. Not dead. Like, she wrote it in her own freaking complaint. Okay? This is from Blake Lively's amended complaint. So it's like to first write it like this, where it literally says, not that kind of dead, but you're dead to me, and then go and use it like this every chance that she gets to say that he was like saying that he was going to kill them or something, is crazy. Like we can't read, we can't process, we're not going to remember what was actually said. This is nutty. Okay. Nutty. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Yeah, that he was going to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her husband by leaving 2 dead bodies in his wake. Give me a break. This court has already recognized the Wayfarer party's pattern of using filings on the docket as an opportunity to litigate this case. No, they didn't. This court has already recognized the Wayfarer party's pattern of using filings on the docket as an opportunity to litigate this case in the press rather than in court, and to exploit the litigation process to invite public speculation and scandal, referencing also, yes, the dockets, the Taylor Swift thing. Using a $400 million lawsuit against Miss Lively as their vehicle, the Wayfarer parties tried to manufacture an air of legitimacy to their conduct, a tactic about which this court has warned them and has cautioned the public and the press. And while Miss Lively has used every tool available to her to try to stop this abuse, including moving to strike offensive filings, moving for sanctions under Rule 11 and Rule 3.6, and successfully moving to dismiss the Wayfarer party's lawsuit in its entirety, their improper conduct continues unabated. What conduct? What improper conduct? What is she talking about? What improper conduct have the Wayfarer people done? Brian Freeman and the Wayfarer people have not even been talking to the press. They're barely filing any filings. They're literally working on the case. And she's like, they're attacking me. The sky is falling. Make it stop. You are so far into your victim mindset that you don't even know what day it is, I bet. Like, you don't even know. Like, someone could tell you the sky is blue. Wayfarer said the sky is blue, and you would be like, no, it isn't. They're wrong. It isn't. They're attacking me. They're saying the sky is blue. Well, I'm wearing blue right now, and they're attacking me. Like, that's kind of how crazy she's so far into victimhood. It's absolutely insane. And this is all, remember, for something that she is now claiming was garden variety emotional stress. Okay? Garden variety. So women, listen up, okay? Like, we can't be serious here, Blakeski, okay? Now Miss Lively seeks the deterrent remedy provided in California Civil Code Section 47.1, which prohibits the precise tactics that the Wayfarer parties have deployed here, imposing severe penalties for unsuccessfully filing retaliatory defamation actions against sexual harassment and retaliation complainants. Under Section 47.1, any communication made by an individual without malice regarding an incident of sexual assault, harassment, or discrimination, including retaliation, is privileged, so long as the speaker has or has had any time, so long as the speaker has or at any time had a reasonable basis to file a complaint of sexual assault, harassment, or discrimination, whether the complaint is or was filed or not. But girl, you were working with the New York Times for months. There's metadata that Blake Lively was working with the New York Times for this story. She never filed a complaint until her reputation failed. Had her reputation succeeded with the It Ends With Us marketing, and she went on to be in all these other movies and this prestige Hollywood actor that she's dreamt her whole life of being, if that would have happened, she would have said nothing. What kind of champion for women is that? He's such a big bad monster, Wayfarer, these big bad sexual harassers, these violators, these sexual predators, as Ryan Reynolds wants to call them. But y'all didn't stop them. You didn't do nothing. You didn't say nothing. And had you, I've said something. Hello? You weren't going to say nothing if Betty Boo took off, if your hair care line took off, if Maximum Effort succeeded in that horrendous marketing campaign for It Ends With Us, you wouldn't have said nothing, and you would have let these sexual predators, as you like to call them, continue to do this to how many other people if this were true, which it isn't. Prove it. You've proved nothing so far. Nothing. Section 47.1 ensures that individuals who experience sexual harassment or retaliation are able to share their experiences with courts, agencies, the press, and others without fear of being sued for doing so. The California legislature enacted the privilege to provide a clear and unambiguous pathway for justice for victims of sexual assault, harassment, and discrimination. What's so crazy here is I believe in this law. I believe in this law for real victims. I believe in this law for women. I believe in this law for people who have been violated, who actually have been assaulted, who actually have been sexually harassed, sexually assaulted, violated, their rights taken away, their voice stripped from them. The fact that Blake Lively is trying to get the judge to rule on this for the first time ever for her situation that she's already been caught lying in multiple times, which, like, I'm not here to play the, victim war or the, oppression war of who had it worse, but because he lingered on a kiss as the director who didn't call cut, when it's the director's job to say how long a take goes for? Because he touched your chin during a dance montage? Because he called you sexy? A word that you said that you wanted to be for this character? This is, like, she's really just taking away from real victims. Blake, you're not a victim. This is so crazy. Anyway, so it keeps going into the Rule 47.1. Specifically, Section 47.1 is intended to deter frivolous claims that force survivors to defend against a long and expensive retaliatory defamation lawsuit by imposing significant remedies for successful defendants in defamation claims. Moreover, because Section 47.1 is intended to protect victims from the litigation itself, these remedies must be available at the earliest stages, typically through a motion to dismiss, to protect survivors from a punishing, protracted legal process. Consistent with Section 47.1's stated purpose, the court should act promptly to remedy the substantial harm Ms. Lively has incurred. What harm? You haven't even proven your case yet. You literally have not proven your case, and the Wayfarer people didn't have a frivolous case, and the judge didn't rule anything to do with 47.1. Did you even read his ruling? We will go over it again after this. There can be no doubt that the Wayfarer party's suit is the prototypical suit that the California legislature intended to short-circuit by enacting Section 47.1. The alleged defamation statements that form the basis of the Wayfarer party's lawsuit meet all the elements of privileged statements under that section for reasons this court has already recognized. Thus, as the prevailing defendant, Ms. Lively is entitled to her attorney fees and costs, treble damages, and punitive damages. As for punitive damages, the record as it currently exists is sufficient for the court to determine the Wayfarer parties engaged in oppression, fraud, or malice by bringing and maintaining their claims against Ms. Lively, entitling her to punitive damages under Civil Code Section 47.1 and 3294. As set forth in greater detail below, the Wayfarer parties and their lawyers used the now dismissed claims to peddle falsehoods in the media, and they did not stop even after the court granted Ms. Lively's motion to dismiss. Misrepresenting in a televised interview the nature of the court's order and feeding the media and online frenzy by thanking the internet sleuth community who continue to cover the case. They hate us. They hate us. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds hate us, guys. They hate us. I don't know if they hate us more than we hate them, but they do not like us. They do not like that we are Wayfarer 100%. Accordingly, Ms. Lively respectfully requests a ruling that she is a prevailing defendant under Section 47.1, and as such, that she is entitled to her reasonable attorney fees and costs for successfully defending herself in this litigation, treble damages for the harm caused by the Wayfarer's retaliatory defamation action against her, and punitive damages sufficient to deter the Wayfarer parties from engaging in such conduct in the future. Following those legal determinations, Ms. Lively respectfully requests that the court set a schedule for the submission of affidavits and a decision after an evidentiary hearing, if necessary, as to the quantification of those awards. Get out of here. What does this footnote say? First, Miss Lively's statements were communications related to an incident of sexual harassment and retaliation, aiding and abetting the same. Second, Miss Lively made the statement at issue without malice. You lied to the New York Times. You lied in your CRD. You lied. And you redacted the text messages. You cherry-picked them. They weren't even in order. You just picked and choose to create a false narrative. You created a whole story with zero evidence, zero proof. You manufactured the evidence to fit your story. That's not malice. And it says they really like that the only bad thing they've ever caught Justin Baldoni say about Blake Lively to this day is that she is a person who always genuinely believes she's right. And they use it here. Or as the same, the Wayfarer parties acknowledge that because she's generally a person who always believes she's right. That's very interesting. That's the only bad thing that Justin Baldoni has said about Blake Lively. And yet he was out here, smearing her, fat shaming her, but then sexually harassing her. My gosh, guys. Then they're really mad again that he was on TMZ talking about how Blake Lively's team shouldn't take a victory lap. It's a false victory lap. Then it says, further, it has now become exceedingly clear from the additional evidence submitted by James Vituska that their effort to try to hold Miss Lively liable for alleged defamation statements by her publicist under a bogus agency theory was based entirely upon what appears to be a knowing lie that they incredibly continue to defend. The Wayfarer parties openly discussed their intent to retaliate against Miss Lively. Before and during this litigation, the Wayfarer parties have repeatedly made clear their intent to retaliate against Miss Lively, including by weaponizing the legal system. Who weaponized the legal system? I'm not going to ever get over Van Zandt until there's answers. I'm so sorry. That's how we started here, is because she literally legalized. She weaponized the legal system to create a fake lawsuit. I will say it till the end of my days until I get answers, okay? Whichever comes first. Van Zandt, say it louder, okay? They are shady. Blake Lively used illegal, unethical tactics and created a fake lawsuit against Stephanie Jones about all of this breach of contract and all of this stuff. Stephanie Jones never had a contract with Blake. She didn't have to give her nothing. It's shady. It's shady the way that this all happened. This is how it started. It started on unethical, illegal, corrupt behavior. And now she wants to call out that the Wayfarer people are? Please, Blake, we see you. Hello? As Miss Lively alleged in the SAC, that plan was backed by virtually unlimited resources. Wayfarer's co-founder, co-chairman, and leading financier is multi-billionaire Steve Soritz, who divulged to a witness at the film's premiere, that he was going to spend $100 million to ruin their life. Yeah, but you know who else is almost a billionaire? Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, your husband. Yeah, you guys aren't so far off. Okay, so stop coming after Steve Soritz because he's a billionaire. Okay, you know who else is a billionaire? Your best friend, Taylor Swift. Or used to be best friend. Yeah, okay, so, okay. Anyway, it goes on to say that it's all the same crap. That was not the only time Mr. Soritz made such a threat. Later in August of 2024, even though the film had turned out very well and Wayfarer had made a lot of money on it, Mr. Soritz confessed to another witness, an individual who was working with Wayfarer on an unrelated project, that if Miss Lively or Mr. Reynolds ever cross the line, then I will go after him, he declared. I will protect the studio like Israel protected itself from Hamas. There were 39,000 dead bodies. There will be 2 more dead bodies when I'm done. Minimum. Not dead, but you're dead to me. So that kind of dead, but a dead to a lot of people. If they ever get to that point, then I'll make it worth their while because I'm going to spend a lot of money to make sure the studio is protected. That's interesting that he said that on unrelated projects. So they have a lot, obviously, as we know, Wayfarer has a lot of other projects. So very interesting. Oh my gosh, something just came to me. Do you think that letter could have been from somebody that worked on Eleanor the Great or something? Or from Scarlett Johansson or something? Because I didn't see like Justin Baldoni do any marketing or promotion for the film. Oh my God, I'm sidetracking. Let me just read this and then look into that. Wow. And after Miss Lively brought suit here, the Wayfarer parties, through their attorney, Brian Freeman, reconfirmed their intent to sue Miss Lively and others into oblivion. Thus, the court need look no further than the Wayfarer parties' own statements to confirm their intent to retaliate against Miss Lively for reporting sexual harassment and retaliation, including by filing their now dismissed claims. Oh my God. He said he was going to sue you into oblivion because there was tons of lawsuits coming out because you guys were lying. Lying. The Wayfarer parties begin seeding their false light narrative the day after Miss Lively files her CRD complaint and then file frivolous claims. Then anyway, guys, this is all the same crap. Brian Freeman went on TMZ the very next day in the hours of the morning and, was just saying that there's more stuff coming. Anyway, he said that the CRD complaint, he called it shameful and declaring her allegations completely false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious with an intent to publicly hurt as part of yet another attempt to fix her negative reputation. And he claimed she brought on herself. Yeah, no duh. Oh, so funny that they bring back her deposition here in the footnote. In unsealed portions of her deposition transcript filed with the court, Miss Lively testified that she not only felt that the lawsuit and Mr. Freeman's conduct was retaliatory, but that Mr. Sarrett's dead body's threats on the heels of his pledge to spend $100 million to ruin her life left her concerned for her physical safety and as a mother for that of her family. Then it says, this person also had concerns with Mr. Baldoni, who they found to be verbally abusive, which resulted in him not being allowed on the set of the other project or involved in its marketing or publicity. Who is it? It's another project that they were working on with Justin Baldoni. I just can't see him being verbally abusive. Show me ever a time where his mask slips. Do you know how long, for over 20 years, he's been in the spotlight, something damn near, that he has never, ever altered? He has never let the mask slip. Do you know how long you have to hold that on for? And now, for Blake Lively, all of a sudden, oh yeah, now all of these other people and all of his other future projects, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. They just talk about the lawsuits that the Wayfarer people brought on against Leslie Sloan, the New York Times, Ryan Reynolds, etc. They talk about the website that was created, the lawsuitinfo.com, on which the Wayfarer parties placed only the FAC in its rambling Exhibit A. Rambling? Oh, Blake, don't start with rambling. Just because you were called out this week for being a rambling queen. Yeah, you were being called out for rambling on stage. Now you want to use the word rambling? Oh my gosh, so funny. Anyway, restyled as a timeline of relevant events for easily public access. There was no legal purpose whatsoever for this website, which recently obtained discovery confirms was purely a blunt public relations tool against Miss Lively. Was it against Miss Lively or was it to defend the Wayfarer parties? Not everything is an attack. Sometimes it's a defense. And when you're against Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, most of the time you have to be on the defense. This is just a whole recap of everything that has happened in the case. Like, the judge doesn't know what's happened. Like, hello, he's been here. But anyway, they talk about how the case was dismissed, and then also how, she sent them safe harbor letters in order to withdraw all of their claims against them. The Wayfarer people said that, no, thank you, we are not withdrawing. Blake Lively said that if you don't withdraw within 21 days, I will file for sanctions. The Wayfarer people advised that they were standing by every word of their frivolous pleadings, but they didn't say frivolous pleadings, did they? No, they said they were standing by every word they put in their complaint. On May 19th, Miss Lively filed a motion for sanctions. Yes, she did. Now she's doing it. She wants more money. Sanctions aren't enough. In that motion, Miss Lively set out in detail why all the Rule 11 plaintiffs' claim against her failed as a matter of law. In response to Miss Lively's Rule 11 motion, the Rule 11 plaintiffs did not even attempt to stand behind their claims on the merits. Instead, they argued in essence that the court should ignore the requirements imposed by Rule 11, that parties and counsel submit pleadings that are brought in good faith, and instead merely dismiss any deficient claims under the Federal Rule of Civil Procedure. Anyway, then she goes on to how the court granted Miss Lively's motion to dismiss in its entirety, along with the motions to file, dismiss Mr. Reynolds, Miss Sloan, Vision PR, and the New York Times. As to Miss Lively, the court dismissed with prejudice the Wayfarer party's claims for defamation, civil extortion, intentional interference with prospective economic advantage, negligent interference with prospective economic advantage, and fall light invasion of privacy. And without prejudice, the Wayfarer party's claims for intentional interference with contractual relations and breach of the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. In dismissing the Wayfarer party's defamation action against Miss Lively, the court concluded that her statements were privileged under the fair report and litigation privilege. The court did not rule on whether Miss Lively's alleged statements were privileged under Section 47.1 or whether Miss Lively acted with actual malice, but permitted Miss Lively to renew her motion for attorney fees, treble damages, and punitive damages under Section 47.1. In granting the parallel motion to dismiss, the court did, however, rule that the Wayfarer parties failed to plead actual malice on the part of Mr. Reynolds, Miss Sloan, and the New York Times, finding that the Wayfarer parties failed to allege facts that would have caused the defendants to doubt Miss Lively's account. But we all know that that dismissal was a load of crap, because he said, like the judge said, oh, because how are they supposed to know, you know, they were going off public filings and stuff, but all of the things that they did were way before Blake Lively even filed her CRD complaint. So it was kind of like, kind of a catch-22, or like something that was missed, in my opinion. Like right here, in holding that the Wayfarer parties failed to allege actual malice as to Mr. Reynolds, the court held that the amended complaint does not provide any reason for Reynolds would not have doubted Miss Lively's version of events. But everything that they were claiming against Ryan Reynolds happened before the amended complaint was out. So the court also found there to be sufficient evidence of a smear campaign to defeat the Wayfarer party's defamation claim against the New York Times. In concluding that the Wayfarer parties failed to allege actual malice on the part of the New York Times, the court held the CRD complaint and articles contained numerous messages and documents strongly suggesting the Wayfarer parties did spread negative stories about Miss Lively. I am begging the Wayfarer parties now to completely go on attack mode and destroy these people. Do exactly what Steve Sorer had said. Like, honestly, spend every single dollar and absolutely just put everything out into the open. Who cares? Completely annihilate them. They have been playing it so safe and so nice, and they need to go lower. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are right here. They need to go down even further, and they need to just, they need to just completely annihilate them with everything they have. Who cares? Then they go on to say that the Wayfarer parties and their counsel repeatedly attack Miss Lively and her family in the media and abuse the litigation process and this court's order. They attack Miss Lively and her family? Despite repeated warnings regarding the grave deficiencies in their claims, the Wayfarer parties continue to hide behind them to push falsehoods in the press and before this court. From December 2024 through the date of this filing, the Wayfarer parties, Mr. Freeman, as their mouthpiece, have made incessant statements in the press, misrepresenting the nature of their claims and attacking Miss Lively personally. As set forth in greater detail in Miss Lively's Rule 11 motion, Mr. Freeman accused Miss Lively and Mr. Reynolds of being cowardly, claimed that Miss Lively is abusing our legal system, called Miss Lively's conduct shameful and bullying, and even more unthinkable, accused her of devastating the entirety of the domestic violence community by lodging the allegations. Yep, that sounds about right. So where did he attack your family? I don't see that here. Interesting title. Then they bring up the Madison Square Garden thing about how Brian Freeman said that he would take her deposition at Madison Square Garden and charge for it and make a whole lot of money and give those money to domestic violence survivors. They hated that he said that. Then they go on, following the court's order dismissing all of the Wayfarer party's claims, Mr. Freeman thanked the internet sleuth community who continue to cover the case, effectively pouring gasoline on the already blazing media frenzy and encouraging the same type of online trolling that got the Wayfarer parties sued in the first place. All we're doing is reporting on public court filings and looking into them and doing our own research, okay? This is not why the Wayfarer people got sued in the first place. The Wayfarer people got sued in the first place because Blake Lively is a psycho. Hello? Because she's a crybaby, a nepo baby that didn't get her way. Can we be serious about that for a second? Then they go into Miss Lively's allegedly defamatory statements are privileged under Section 47.1, which mandates fees and damages. Section 47.1 protects Miss Lively's statements about sexual harassment and retaliation by the Wayfarer parties and, in fact, was created to deter the filing of exactly the kind of complaint filed by the Wayfarer parties here. A communication is privileged under Section 47.1 when it is regarding an incident of sexual assault, harassment, or discrimination, made without malice, and made by an individual that has or at any time blah, blah, blah. We already read all of that. Get out of here. Then they say most damning of all, the FAC references, which is the Wayfarer's complaint, references a text between Mr. Baldoni and Miss Nathan in which they both agree that Miss Lively genuinely believes she's right and that all of this is unjust. While generally alleging that Miss Lively's allegations are false, the FAC's identified falsehoods center on hair splitting, Miss Lively's recounting of specific incidents within her legal complaints, or worse, attempting to justify the Wayfarers party's behavior, essentially asserting that Miss Lively asked for it. Consequently, the FAC does nothing more than describe the exact same factual conduct, but from the Wayfarer party's point of view rather than Miss Lively's. This both sides approach geared toward the court of public opinion only highlights the FAC's total failure to allege that Miss Lively ever doubted the truth of her own allegations. What? She asked for it? Oh my God. They retell completely different variations. I mean, totally, completely different. What is she talking about? It's just something like, oh my God, I'm just so annoyed with Blake Lively, guys. This is insane. To even say something like that is, she's really in victimhood right now. She really, really, really believes that like this was bad, but doesn't want to prove any doctor's notes, dropped her 2 claims of emotional distress, still wants only garden variety, but wants us to think that she should get treble damages. That's all I'm going to say. Like, girl, because he called you sexy? Like, this is absolutely crazy. At best, the FAC asserts that Miss Lively published the alleged statements either to save her own reputation or as part of a power grab. 1, they allege that she needed a scapegoat to blame for her missteps in promoting the film. 2, they claim that she was driven by overweening ambition and a need for control. 3, they assert she wanted to match her star husband or boost her own brand and business ventures. And 4, they state that she was determined to extract creative control and to steal the film or take over the production of the sequel, It Starts With Us. But as described above, none of these theories contain allegations that Miss Lively fabricated the sexual harassment allegations or insinuations in the protections for return for productions, particularly given that so many of those insinuations directly tracked actual incidents that the FAC concedes occurred. Even taking the above as true, which it is, the FAC does not plausibly allege that Miss Lively actively disbelieved any of the allegations set forth in her verified CRD complaint. But they were lies. Like the dance montage was a lie. The birthing scene was a lie. The porn that you saw was a lie. So how could you have believed those things were true when they were literally not based in any kind of reality? That's called a lie. That's called perjury. That's called malice. That's called defamation. That's called you're crazy. What? Miss Lively had a reasonable basis to file her complaints. Finally, to be protected by Section 47.1, the speaker need only have or at any time had a reasonable basis to file a complaint of sexual assault, harassment, or discrimination, whether the complaint is or was filed or not. In other words, the privilege under Section 47.1 attaches regardless of whether a complaint is ever filed and no matter to whom the communication is published. As the California legislature explains, the protections would apply to individuals who, after relaying any factual statement, whether in the form of a formal complaint or a statement outside a formal proceeding, such as to a media outlet, are sued for defamation. Indeed, the statute was enacted in large part to address defamation claims filed against harassment victims based upon statements made to the press. She really covered all of her bases here. It is self-evident that Miss Lively had a more than reasonable basis to report her workplace concerns during production and to file her complaints both with the CRD and with this court. And the FAC provide no plausible basis to conclude otherwise. As set forth above, the Wayfarer parties admit much of the misconduct that occurred on set. No, they didn't. What is she talking about? And then it goes on to how she's still a prevailing defendant, and as such, she's entitled to attorney fees. Miss Lively is entitled to her attorney fees and costs in defending against the Wayfarer party's claims. Stop it. Stop it. She's also entitled to the treble damages. This is what's crazy too, because this is what it says in this paragraph as I just browsed it and I'm like, what? Say what now? Miss Lively is also entitled to compensation for all harm caused to her by the Wayfarer party's retaliatory defamation action, including her economic, emotional, and psychological harms. What? Economic? You don't want to show your financials. You fought to show financials. Emotional, you pulled your 2 emotional causes and now are only going on garden variety. And psychological, you don't want to show any of your doctor's notes. You don't want to show medical notes. So how are you trying to get damages for the 3 things that you are unwilling to show? That is confusing. Is anyone else confused by that? Because how is she going to show economic loss? She fought. She did not. She tried to fight so hard to not have to give Wayfarer any financials. The emotional, we already know, is now garden variety. And psychological, she's not showing any medical. Okay, so what, this is just Trust Blake Day? Huh? Whatever you say goes? We're playing the trust game. I wouldn't trust Blake and Ryan as far as I could throw my lip gloss. Okay? That's how far. Explaining that Section 47.1's damages provision authorizes treble damages for the economic, emotional, and psychological harms survivors suffer. Survivors. Blake, you're not a fucking survivor of shit. Are you kidding me? Even if everything that you said, how dare you use the survivors? How dare you again weaponize real women's trauma? Just like you trying to use Giselle Pellico in your Time 100 speech so that you can stand on the same platform as her. Disgusting. Psychological harm survivors suffer when defending themselves in retaliatory suits brought by their abusers. The full measure of this harm will be established during expert discovery in this case. Can't wait for that. Ms. Lively thus asked the court to set a schedule for the submission of evidence, including a prompt evidentiary hearing in the court deems it appropriate, quantifying her harm, which must then be trebled under Section 47.1. Ms. Lively is entitled to punitive damages. Whatever. Such damages are based on bringing the lawsuit itself. Thus, the conduct can be assessed by imposing punitive damages. Here is the Wayfarer party's action in bringing and maintaining their claims against Miss Lively. The Wayfarer party's case, which was independently filed and not a cross complaint, has been dismissed, making Miss Lively a prevailing defendant. For purposes of this motion and rendering her Section 47.1 claims ripe, as such, the court should set a schedule for promptly quantifying the monetary award to which Miss Lively is entitled well in advance of the March 2026 trial. See how they bolded that? Well in advance. Because we want to know how much money we have to fight, to keep fighting. Or they're going to be awarded this, and then Blake Lively is going to pull her claim saying that she won. She's the victor, right? It's all the game. This is a crazy PR move. There's something in this, and I hope that the Wayfarers come back and just complete knockout. Like, honestly. The court must then find the facts and states its conclusion of law as provided in Rule 42A. Adjudicating these issues separate from and in advance of trial on Miss Lively's case would also further the policy's rationales underlining Section 47.1 by making the statute's remedies available to Miss Lively at the earliest stage of this litigation. Miss Lively should not be delayed. No, we don't want to delay Miss Lively. Miss Lively should not be delayed or required to prevail on these claims in her own case to obtain damages to which she is entitled under Section 47.1 today. Moreover, quantifying the Section 47.1 damages now will further serve the statutory purpose and underlying public policy by deter retaliatory litigation conduct that the Wayfarer parties continue to engage in despite their claims being dismissed with prejudice. Thus, to the extent the court deems an evidentiary hearing appropriate, it should be prior to and separate from the jury trial in Miss Lively's affirmative case. Ugh. I just pulled up the court's order from June 9th when he dismissed Ryan Reynolds, the New York Times, and Leslie Sloan. And right at the bottom, when he talks about motions and fees, it says right here, Reynolds, Sloan, and Vision PR have moved for an award of attorney fees and costs pursuant to New York's anti-SLAPP law, New York's civil rights law. Lively has moved for an award for attorney fees, treble damages, and punitive damages pursuant to California Code 47.1. The court denies the motions without prejudice to renewal in accordance with the ruling here. The court has ruled that the law applicable to the claims against Reynolds and Sloan cannot be determined absent further factual development. The court has not ruled on whether Lively's statements were privileged under California Civil Code 47.1. If defendants choose to renew their motions, they shall fully brief the impact of this opinion, if any, as well as the issues raised in prior briefings. And it literally says in the footnotes, the court has received several motions for leave to file amicus briefs. These briefs largely concern the application of California and New York's anti-SLAPP law. The court has not considered any of the briefs in resolving the motions to dismiss. And now I'd love to tell you that that was it for the day, but it isn't. But y'all are going to have to see my other video because Blake Lively is back in the courts today. Another day. Crying about getting files not on time, or I didn't even read the whole thing yet, but I'm about to, and then I'm going to make another one. So let me know what y'all think about this. Like, I think the timing was really bad. I think this did it on purpose, and I don't think this is going to go anywhere because you're in the Southern District of New York fighting for New York law, but now wanting to use California law. I mean, which is it? Drop all your comments and let me know what you guys think and who do you think this is, because now I'm thinking, what other project? Unless, at first I thought maybe it was Blake Lively, and then I thought maybe it was Liz Plank, and then I thought maybe it's the man beater Jenny Slate, but now I'm thinking maybe, did they get Scarlett? I don't know. My head is just spinning. I don't know who it is, what's going on. And I don't think we will know until we get more stuff. But the truth of the matter is it really doesn't matter, because having negative interactions with someone does not prove your case. It has nothing to do with what happened to you. I have negative interactions with people who other people think are angels and are superstars. You know what I mean? What? Anyway, thanks so much for being here. Please drop all your comments. Help me get through this, people. Okay? I love you so much. I will definitely talk to you soon. Have the best day. Bye.